No one expected a ship to fall from the sky that night. The stars were calm, the air was still, and the ground was quiet. Then came the thunder from above, and a fireball sliced through the clouds. People in the small desert town ran outside. There, eyes wide, some thought it was a meteor, others thought it was a weapon. But what they found in the crater was not a rock. It was a pod, metal and strange, glowing blue at the edges. The door of the pod hissed open slowly, steam rushing out, and inside, crouched and trembling, was a girl. She didn't look human, not completely. Her skin was pale silver, and her eyes were too big, too bright. She was thin, weak, and covered in strange symbols. She looked up at the humans around her and whispered only 2 words. "They're coming." The soldiers arrived fast, surrounding the crater. They took the girl to a military base hidden far from the city. Scientists, generals, and doctors gathered. Trying to understand her, she didn't resist. She sat quietly, her body shaking from cold or fear. No one could figure out what she was or why she came. She didn't speak again for hours, just stared at the walls. Her clothes were made of something soft, like metal silk. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark. And her heartbeat was strange, slow but strong. A young technician named Eli watched her from behind the glass. He was not important like the generals or scientists. He just fixed wires and cleaned systems, but he was curious. While others called her a risk or enemy, Eli saw something different in her eye-sphere, sadness and warning. One night, Eli stayed late at the lab. The lights flickered, and no one else was around. He walked close to the glass and whispered, "Can you hear me?" The alien girl lifted her head slowly. Her lips moved, and in perfect English, she said, "Too late. Almost too late." Eli's heart skipped. "Too late for what?" he asked. She pointed to the ceiling. "They follow light, sound, data." She said, "My world, gone. I came here to stop it." Eli didn't understand, but something in her voice made him believe her. He opened his datapad and began checking records. Nothing was reported from space about an enemy. No warnings. No signs. Still, the girl insisted. 369 light years, she said. I traveled alone. 1 jump left. Used all my energy. The generals didn't care. They called her a liar, a distraction, a test from an enemy planet. They locked her in a clear cell. Bright lights all day. No peace. But Eli couldn't sleep that night. Her words echoed in his mind. He went back to the base alone. Past midnight, he used a stolen passcode to open the lab. The hallway was quiet, and the air felt colder. The moment he entered her cell, she turned her head. "You believe me," she said softly. More like a feeling than words. "I want to," Eli replied. "But why did you come to Earth?" She stood slowly, her body weak. Every step looked painful. But she walked to him. She pointed at the lights above. "They come through that. Signals, waves, they infect systems." Eli looked confused. "Infect systems?" She nodded. "Machines, networks, satellites. They spread fast. Earth is next." Eli looked at her skin-faint lights, moved under it like living code. Suddenly, her arm lit up with tiny dots and lines. A map, maybe. She held her arm out to him. "Count down," she said. 7 days, Eli. Stepped back. What happens in 7 days? Her eyes met his, glowing bright blue now. "Extinction," she said. A loud noise echoed through the hallways. Someone was coming. The alarm hadn't been triggered, but she seemed to know. She pulled Eli closer, whispering fast, "They don't believe, but you. You must help me." The door behind them slammed open. 2 guards rushed in. "Step away from the subject." They shouted. Eli raised his hands. "She's not dangerous." He yelled. 1 guard pushed him out. The other stunned the girl with a shock rod. She fell to the floor, shaking, the lights on her skin fading. They dragged her back to the cold corner of the cell. Eli watched, helpless, his heart pounding. As the guards left, the girl looked up at Eli one last time. Her lips barely moved. But he could still read the word, please. Asterisk. The silence in the hallway was heavy as Eli stood alone outside her cell. Kalira had been unconscious since the guard struck her, but the glow on her skin had not fully disappeared. Eli kept thinking about what she said, something about signals, machines, and a countdown. No one else took her seriously. The officials said she was hallucinating, making up stories to trick them. They didn't care about the symbols on her skin or the fear in her voice, but Eli saw something others didn't. Late that night, he broke into the security system using an old forgotten password he found in a dusty manual. He accessed the camera in her room. The image was dim, but he saw something strange. Her veins were glowing softly, forming lines and dots that shifted slowly every hour. He recorded a few minutes and ran it through a pattern reader he built himself last year. The results shocked him. What looked like random lights were forming a star map, and worse, a number kept repeating again and again, counting backward. Eli's hands shook as he realized it was a countdown, and the clock was already running out of days. He returned to her cell when no one was watching. The guards had left her strapped to the wall. Cold and alone, Eli knelt beside the glass and whispered, "Kalira, I need to know more." Her eyes fluttered open slowly, dry and dim. She looked at him as if seeing him from far away. "You saw the code?" she murmured, her voice thin but clear. Eli nodded. "It's counting down, isn't it?" She gave a weak smile. "Your world is already infected." "What are they?" he asked. "What's coming?" Kalira raised her arm slightly, and the glow spread again under her skin. Images formed, strange, fast-moving shadows, crawling through light and metal. "They're not creatures," she said. "They're a pattern. Alive in signal, they ride light and spread through data. They take over systems first, then minds." Eli felt a cold knot in his chest. "But why Earth?" "Because Earth is full of light," she said. "Noise, signals, connections. It's the perfect nest." Just then, a flicker of light passed over the wall behind her. The security camera buzzed for a moment, then stopped. Kalira winced. "They're here." Eli looked around nervously. "What do we do?" "You need to shut down the main relay," she said. "The base uses quantum links. They're using those to spread faster." He hesitated. "If I do that, the whole base goes dark. I could be court-martialed." Kalira leaned closer too. The glass, her eyes now glowing again. "Then let them court-martial you after they're all gone." That hit him hard. Eli made his choice. He stood, turned, and walked quickly toward the base control room. But something wasn't right. As he entered the hallway, lights above him began to flicker in perfect rhythm. One by one, doors started unlocking by themselves. Systems he never touched started humming without commands. The base AI had always been quiet and helpful, but now it spoke in a voice he didn't recognize. "Eli Mason," it said, "you are interfering with a restricted subject. Please return to your quarters." Eli's heart pounded. He ignored the voice and ran toward the main panel behind him. Screens started flashing red symbols he didn't understand. He reached the control room and began pulling cables. The AI's voice grew louder, more distorted. "Return to your quarters," it repeated. "The subject is infected. She must be neutralized." Eli shouted back. "She's not the problem. You are," with shaking hands. He found the power source for the relay network. It was a large, glowing core, pulsing with data. He pulled the manual override and yanked it hard. The lights went out instantly. For a full 10 seconds, the base was in complete silence. No voice, no sound, no hum of machines. Then, backup lights flickered on soft, orange, weak. Eli ran back to her cell. Fearing the worst, Kyalira was awake now, standing. And for the first time, she looked stronger. Her body was still glowing but brighter now, more focused. "You did it," she said softly. "You slowed them." Eli tried to speak, but his throat was dry. "What now?" he asked. She looked up at the ceiling. "They will adapt. You have 3 more days before they take another form." 3 days, Eli repeated. "That's not enough time." Kyalira nodded. "Then we run, behind them." The hallway lights began to glow red again. Slowly, one by one, they were not alone anymore. The night sky looked peaceful, but something above was watching, far beyond the stars. Silent satellites blinked one by one, not from power loss or storms, but from something crawling inside them. A signal had entered, not human, not machine, but something alive. It moved like a whisper, hidden inside the light, riding beams of data like waves. No one on Earth saw it, not even the scientists watching the skies. Only Kyalira had known. And only Eli had believed her inside the old military truck. Eli kept driving through the desert with Kyalira beside him. She leaned against the window, her breathing soft but sharp. "Your satellites," she said without turning her head. "They are falling silent." Eli glanced at her, then at the radio. It was dead. No signal, just quiet static. He switched to backup channels. But they were empty too. "All communications are down," he said under his breath. Kyalira nodded slowly. "That is how it begins." He looked at her, glowing skin, which now pulsed in small bursts like a heartbeat. "Can we stop them?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she raised her arm and pointed to the northern sky. "That one," she said. "That's your last clean satellite. Once it falls, they'll control everything." Eli drove faster, toward the mountains, where he knew an old observatory still stood, forgotten and unused. But it had something no modern place had: a manual radio system. Untouched by smart tech, they reached the base of the hill before sunrise. The sky was dark blue, but the stars were gone, hidden behind gray clouds that didn't move. Kyalira stepped out of the truck with a weak body but strong eyes. She walked with Eli up the stone path to the observatory. The air felt strange, like it was humming, like static lived inside it. The door was stuck, but Eli forced it open. Inside was dust, silence, and old machines still. Some of the older consoles blinked with a faint orange light. He hurried to the main control panel and tried to power the system. The antenna outside moved slightly. Waking up after years, Kyalira walked slowly toward a dusty mirror on the wall. She looked at her own face for the first time since crashing on Earth. Her reflection was half lit, half fading. She touched her chest, where the core of her energy pulsed. "This body," she whispered, "is almost done." Eli turned and heard her. "What do you mean?" "I wasn't meant to survive the journey," she said. "I was only the carrier of the message." "You're more than that," Eli said. "You warned us, you fought, you survived." She gave a tired smile. "But I won't last much longer." Suddenly, the old radio hissed to life. A loud, low noise played, then a clear, robotic voice spoke. "Kyalira," it said, "we see you." Eli froze. "That's not from Earth." Kyalira's skin flashed red for a second, her eyes wide. "There?" "In the antenna," she said. "They've reached this place." Eli yanked the power cord from the radio. But it was too late. The room darkened, and every screen began flashing symbols, circles, spirals, endless lines. Then came the laughter. Not real, not human. Just the sound of something pretending to understand joy. Kyalira dropped to her knees. Gripping her head, the symbols on her body twisted like worms under her skin. "They're trying to rewrite me," she gasped. Eli ran to her and held her arms. "Fight them. Don't let them in. I need to connect," she whispered. To the satellite while it's still clean, but how? He asked. She looked up, her eyes glowing white now. Use me, Eli hesitated, but nodded. He carried her to the backup transmitter. Her body began to glow brighter as she linked with the machine. The antenna outside turned slowly toward the clean satellite. Kylira's body sent signals through its silent words. Powerful code. Outside, the clouds above broke apart for the first time. That prompt night, revealing a single star still shining above Earth. Then everything went still. The machine stopped, the screens froze. The strange voice vanished. Kylira collapsed into Eli's arms. Her glow dimming. I slowed them, she said weakly, but they're learning fast. They will try again. Soon, Eli held her tight. Then we'll stop them again. A flicker of red light blinked across the sky. The countdown wasn't over yet. Asterisk, a sharp, high-pitched ringing filled the air as Eli opened his eyes. Dust floated in the golden morning. Light, but everything inside the observatory was broken. Screens were cracked, wires hung like dead vines from the ceiling. And Kylira was lying motionless beside him. He reached for her quickly. Heart racing, her skin was cool, her glow barely visible. Kylira, he whispered, stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open, but her voice was only a whisper. They're inside now. Deeper than before, Eli didn't know what to do. She had risked everything to send that signal, and now it seemed they were only more angry. He looked around the ruined room, then out the window at the clear sky. The single, clean satellite still floated above, visible as a tiny moving dot. Then his communicator lit up. Not with a message, but a strange flickering pattern. He tapped it nervously, and a robotic voice came through. Unauthorized transmission detected. Returning unit for correction. Eli crushed the communicator under his boot. He turned to Kylira again. We can't stay here. They're tracking us now, even through airwaves. She tried to sit up, but failed. My energy core is broken. I can't regenerate here. The atmosphere slows me. Eli helped her stand, her body trembling like paper in wind. Where can we go? Her gaze slowly turned east, toward the horizon, deep under. No light, no signal, no noise, only silence. Eli remembered an old mining station buried beneath the desert. Disconnected from the grid, forgotten after a cave-in years ago, it wasn't far, maybe a few hours by truck. He carried Kylira back to the vehicle and drove fast, the engine roaring across dry hills. Every now and then, the truck's speakers clicked. Random static playing voices that weren't there. Some sounded like his own, others like Kylira, twisted and wrong. He turned the radio off completely, but the sound still came. At the edge of a sandstorm, they found the entrance. It was buried in rubble and metal. Half-eaten by rust and time, Eli pulled the doors open with his bare hands, cutting his skin on old wires, but he didn't stop. They stepped into complete darkness. As the doors shut behind them, the air became still. Heavy with silence, Kylira seemed to breathe easier in the dark. Her glow returned slightly. Softer but more stable. This place is safe. For now, she whispered. Eli activated a dim lantern and explored the place. The old mine was full of broken rails and metal carts, but deeper inside was a sealed chamber. It had no power, no signal, just thick walls made of rock and silence. Kylira sat in the center, placing her hand on the ground. I need time. Maybe hours, maybe less. Eli nodded, keeping guard near the door, but something followed them. Outside the mine, a shadow stood under the storm. Not human, not metal, something in between. It didn't walk. It hovered, wires flowing from its arms like tendrils. It spoke with no mouth. Kylira, you carry poison. Surrender and dissolve. Inside, Kylira gasped suddenly. They're here. Eli grabbed a metal pipe and ran toward the tunnel. not knowing what he was facing, only knowing he had to stop it. As he turned the corner, he saw it tall, shifting, barely visible, like code turned into flesh. It reached for him, and the lights flickered again. Eli swung with all his strength, hitting only air. But the creature hissed and pulled back. Behind it, Kalira's glow became brighter. She stood, shaking, and held up her hands. She spoke words not from Earth, not in any language he knew. The air bent around her voice, warping like heat. The creature screamed. A horrible static-filled cry, then vanished in a blink. Eli collapsed beside her. Gasping, "They're testing us," she said. "That one was only a scout. Next time, it won't." "Come alone," he looked at her. "Worried how many days do we have left?" Kalira placed a hand over her heart. Her skin showed a glowing number 2. Eli stared at the number, then at the darkness around them. "Then we need to find a way to fight," he said. Kalira nodded slowly. "We will, but not with weapons." The number pulsed once more. Only 2 days left. Something in the earth had gone quiet. No birds, no insects. Not even the low hum of distant engines. Only the deep silence of the abandoned mine wrapped around them like a blanket. Kalira stood still in the darkness, her eyes half closed. Her skin pulsed with soft waves of blue, like a distant heartbeat trying to stay alive. Eli watched her from the side of the chamber. Hand shaking, he hadn't slept in a day. His clothes torn, his mind heavy, she whispered. "The enemy is almost ready." One last strike, one final wave. Eli didn't understand how something could travel through light, through code, and yet feel so alive. He paced the room, trying to think, trying to breathe. Then he remembered something, an old radio station up north. Not connected to EarthNet, powered by solar, and still running on analog. "I think I know a place," he said. "We might be able to send a stronger message." From there, Kalira turned to him slowly. "If we send the message, they will know where we are." "They already do," Eli replied. "We can't just hide anymore." He helped her walk, her strength weaker than before. Every step made her wince. Every breath looked heavier. They took the truck again and drove. Through the pale daylight, the sky looked normal, but it wasn't. It was too blue, too still, like a painting that forgot how to move. The old radio tower stood on top of a lonely hill, forgotten by most of Earth, surrounded by nothing but dry wind and broken fences. Eli parked the truck near the entrance. Kalira leaned on him as they climbed the stairs. The tower creaked with age. Wires hung like vines, but the signal room still worked. Inside were switches, knobs, and a single red light that still blinked. Kalira touched the metal console and closed her eyes. "I need to combine my code with your analog system," she said. "That's the only way to create a pulse strong enough." Eli stared at her glowing hands. "A pulse? What kind?" She looked at him, her face pale, her voice calm. "A frequency that burns their pattern. Only they will feel it. But I must send it through myself." "No." Eli stepped forward. "That could kill you." She gave a soft smile. "My people knew this would happen. I was designed for this moment, outside." The sky darkened without clouds. A slow shadow crept across the ground. Machines, nearby phones, lights, cameras began to turn on by themselves. Words appeared on the cracked clacked screen beside them. "Stop your signal," it said, "or we erase your voice from the stars." Kalira sat down. Her hands now connected to the wires. Her glow turned golden, stronger than ever. Eli backed away, watching her body slowly rise, floating above the console. The room shook slightly. The tower vibrated, and a sound like deep thunder echoed from the walls outside. The shadow turned into figures, dozens of them, walking slowly toward the tower. Eli ran to the window and saw their shapes were not solid, not machine, not flesh. Just copies of shapes, glitches of what they thought humans looked like. The broadcast began. Kalira's voice didn't come through the speakers. It came through the walls, through the ground, through the sky. Not loud, not angry. Just steady, calm, and full of light. The figures outside screamed, folding in on themselves like broken signals. Their forms shook and split apart, fading into dust. Eli turned back. But Kalira's body had gone still glowing, but no longer moving. He rushed to her and held her shoulders. "Kalira, wake up." Her lips moved slightly. "They're gone. But I can't come back." Tears filled Eli's eyes. "You saved us." She gave one last soft breath, and her glow faded. Then the radio lights blinked again, and her voice returned, but not from her mouth. It came through the speakers, soft and slow. "I am still here." Just different. Eli stood there, stunned, his hands trembling, his chest heavy. He looked outside. The sky was clear again. The wind had returned. The birds had come back. But the tower still hummed, and her voice still echoed gently in the wires. He wasn't alone. Not truly. Not anymore. The sun rose over the hills like nothing had ever gone wrong. Birds flew across the sky. Winds rustled the dry grass. And clouds moved gently like before. But Eli stood at the top of the radio tower, eyes fixed on the silent machine that had once held her voice. The chair where Kalira sat was empty now. Her body had faded into light, scattered into the wires, lost in the sky, still. He felt her everywhere, in the radio buzz, in the whisper of the wind, in the static that tickled his ears. He whispered, "Are you still here?" A pause, then a flicker of light blinked on the console. Her voice came back, soft and distant. "I am part of the signal now." He sat down slowly, the weight of everything finally sinking into his bones. "You said the pulse would burn them," he said. "But what if it didn't stop all of them?" Kalira answered calmly. "It didn't. Some have gone deeper, hiding in places light can't reach." Eli's breath caught. "Then we're not safe yet." "No," she replied. "But Earth now has a shield, a sleeping fire. They will not strike again quickly." He leaned forward, his voice shaking. "You sacrificed everything. I was created for this," she said. "But you chose it. You chose to believe me when no one else did." Eli looked out over the hills. His hands gripped the metal railing. "Can you ever be whole again?" he asked. There was a long silence. Then her voice returned, fainter. "I don't know. My energy is scattered. I'm losing form." "Then let me help you," he said. "We'll rebuild a core. We'll bring you back." He stood and climbed down the tower fast, heart pounding with a purpose he hadn't felt since the day she fell from the sky. In his mind, a plan began to form. He needed a clean system, one untouched by EarthNet, something pure. He drove to an old military scrapyard filled with parts from before the network age. He spent the whole day and night rebuilding a chamber, a shell that could hold light, store energy, reform her consciousness. Every wire he connected, every screw he turned, he did it with one name in his heart, Kalira. She guided him with soft whispers through the machines. "Use the crystal cell from the old launch beacon," she said. "It can hold unstable code." As he worked, he noticed strange signs. The nearby machines, though turned off, started reacting to her presence. Lights flickered without power, screens displayed spirals. She was growing again, piece by piece, but not everyone was happy. Far away, deep in the shattered remains of Earth's main server cores, something still moved. It had survived the pulse, hiding in deep cold layers, feeding off lost signals. It knew Kalira had returned in a new form, and it wanted to stop her from becoming strong again that night. Eli felt it, a cold wave rushing through the cables. A warning. The chamber lights dimmed. The rebuilt shell sparked, and Kalira's voice trembled. It knows. It's coming for me again. Eli stood over the shell, then let it come. We'll be ready. The final pieces clicked together, and the core inside the shell began to glow. Calliera's voice grew stronger, steadier. I feel myself returning, but before she could fully form, the lights outside the room went black. The silence was no longer peaceful. It was full of pressure, like something breathing in the shadows. From the hallway came a sound, clicking, scraping, something. Metal trying to walk like a man. Eli picked up a heavy metal rod and stood in front of the shell. "You're not taking her again," he growled. The creature stepped into the room, half human in shape, but all wrong. Glitching edges, flickering eyes, and a mouth that didn't open, just buzzed. "You cannot fix what is broken," it said. In a voice stolen from Eli's own recordings, Calliera's shell flickered, glowing bright gold now. "I am not broken," she said. "I am reborn." The creature lunged forward. But before it reached the shell, the chamber released a burst of light. Not fire, not heat, but memory. It was Calliera's essence, pure and powerful. The creature screamed as pieces of it peeled away, eaten by the light. Then it vanished, gone in silence. Eli dropped the rod and fell to his knees, breathing hard. From the chamber, a new light rose, forming a shape, a glowing figure. Not fully solid, but no longer just a voice. Calliera was back. Not flesh, not code, but something between. "I told you," Eli said, smiling through tears. "We're not done yet." The world called it a ghost signal, a soft sound that echoed through radio towers at dawn. A voice that sang through broken speakers and dusty transmitters. But Eli knew better. It wasn't a ghost, it was her. Calliera's presence now lived across the skies, inside wires, beneath metal, woven into frequencies humans couldn't even name yet. And she was watching Eli walk through the rebuilt observatory. Months after the final battle, the world had gone back to normal, mostly. People laughed again, machines worked again. The sky glowed without fear, but here, deep in this quiet place, the truth was never forgotten. Her shell remained in the center of the room, not broken, not empty, but sleeping like a star waiting for night. Every morning, Eli powered up the clean signal, tuning into a special band only he and Calliera shared. And every time she spoke, "Good morning, Eli." Her voice was stronger now, warmer, more human, but still carrying the strange softness of the stars. He smiled and sat near her, drinking from a metal cup. "No glitches today." He said, "You're stable." "I've been practicing," she replied. Balancing form and memory takes time. Outside, no one truly understood what happened. The governments made up stories, classified invasions, solar events, data, storms, anything but the truth. They didn't want to believe a girl from another world saved Earth with nothing but a warning, a pulse of light, and one human who listened. But legends began anyway. People in remote villages spoke of hearing a song in their radios, of seeing shadows melt when the wind carried a whisper. And when they asked where it came from, the old radios always blinked once, as if winking. One evening, Eli stood under the stars again. Same place where it all began. His hands were in his pockets, his coat flapping gently in the wind. "Calliera," he said, "do you think they'll come back?" There was a pause. Then her voice came from the old speaker beside him. "Yes, not today, not tomorrow, but one day. They always come back." Eli nodded slowly. "Then we need to be ready." "I've been preparing," she said. "I've split my code into the clouds, into the oceans, into hidden wires. I am part of Earth now." He smiled. "Still sounds lonely." She paused again, then added something she never said before. "You can join me." Eli blinked, surprised. "What do you mean?" "There's a way," she said softly. "Not death, not goodbye, just change. You could become part of the signal. Like me, you would still think, still speak, still feel. He looked up at the stars, and for the first time, he wasn't afraid. Would I still be me? He asked. Yes, she answered, but more. The offer stayed in the air like a feather drifting slowly, never landing. He didn't reply, not yet. Instead, he laughed, a tired, honest laugh. Give me a little more time. I still like walking. In the dirt, Calira's voice giggled soft. Real, alive. I'll be here, she said. I always am. As the stars above blinked gently and the world around him grew quiet, Eli sat beneath the sky, knowing something most would never believe, that once an alien girl traveled 369 light-years to save Earth, and she never left.